I mean, I got a son in college and I got a daughter in high school, and I have to constantly encourage them. They're good kids, good students, good young men and young women, young man and young woman. But the point is that I have to constantly encourage them to stay in school, to get the best grades you can possibly can. Like my son in college, if he, like a lot of black men failed their first year of college, they come on back home. Nothing wrong with that. What's the plan? So my son don't like being in college. He way out there in the cornfields. He don't like it. He can come on back home. He can go to Chicago State and go to UIC, but you're going to school. If you don't want to go there, then next year maybe you go to Illinois State or U of I or Eastern or whatever, you know, Eastern Illinois, Southern Illinois, you know. I mean, there's in Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. There's plenty of colleges you can go to. There's plenty, but you can't sit around the house. So when you have children, it's very, very, very basic. If you have little children, you make sure they can read and write before they go to kindergarten. If they're in kindergarten, they should be at first grade, second grade level. Your children should be at least grade level. If you're lucky, get them up above grade level. Every child should be able to read and write and do a little math at grade level. I'm going to write to Rahm Emanuel and hopefully tell him to have these children, make sure and beg these parents, use the radio, use the commercials, what you call the public service announcements on the radio and television, start a whole movement where we have to be at grade level. Everybody knows you're a poor black kid in Chicago, and you're a poor black boy in Chicago, in Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington D.C., Oakland. I don't care where you are. In the suburbs, because a lot of black folks have moved to the suburbs. We don't no longer. Most of us don't live in the inner city. The inner city really don't exist as it once did when I was a kid. That is gone. It really doesn't exist anymore. So no matter if you're in a poor suburb or a poor part of the city, there are some poor low-income suburbs. Or you live in a suburb and you live in a poor low-income housing project, a housing apartment complex, and you poor, or you working class. That's America for you and me. But make sure mama, grandmama, daddy, if you're around, that your girl and your little girl and your little boys read at grade level. It's unacceptable to get C's and D. I mean, B. I tolerate, my house, we don't tolerate C's. I go off when we get a C. I go off for my son and daughter. We go off. My son get a C in college. That's cool. I told him, just ain't nobody going to look at your grades 10, 20 years from now. Maybe in a few, but you know, just pass in classes. Don't waste your money and my money. So C in college is a little bit different. I rather prefer B, but if you got to just pass the damn class and don't waste our money and your money. Your time, your money, and our money, okay? But my daughter, she in high school, she can't, I mean, she get a C, we go completely off here. We don't accept that. It happens every once in a while because we get lax as parents. Then we got to get on it. We're not having that stuff. You got to get straight A's if you can. You got to get A's and B's if you can. But D's and F's are unacceptable. So we didn't mad me. And I'm asking Rahm Emanuel because our African-American leadership in this town is corrupt and defunct and null and void and corrupt. Most of our leadership is just totally self-serving, self-aggrandizing, and full of crap. So I have to ask a Jewish gentleman to help the African American neighborhood. And why I'm going to ask, I send letters. I'm going to send some letters. I send emails and whatnot, Facebook messages to Rahm Emanuel. I met him twice. It's a long story. I have to ask the Jewish gentleman to help motivate African American children, because the Jewish people value education. Rahm Emanuel sent his children to one of the best schools in the city of Chicago, a private school, not a Chicago public school. And you can't blame them. I did a video. I made sure that video later on, the commercial PSA I play. I ain't mad at him. I don't blame him. I didn't send my children to the best school for a lot of different reasons. So I said, you're not going to the best school. You ain't going to the second best school. Because it's tiered. You know, these schools are tiered. You know, the elite schools and the magnet schools and some charter schools, like the noble charter schools, because they kick the bad kids out. I don't blame them, okay? That's what's wrong with the public school. They can't get rid of all the poorly performing students, the gangbangers, folks who want to fight, want to talk, want to act fool. You got to kick those students out and send them to a different school with a different model of education, okay? So you have the different hierarchies of school. And I didn't send my children to those better schools, so I said, I ain't send you to the best school. It's my fault. Hate me the rest of your life, fine. But you have to go to that neighborhood school and get the best grades you possibly can, hopefully straight A's. I'll tolerate a few B's. And you move on. Because you don't have to go to the best school to be your best. You don't have to go to the best school to be really great and successful in life. You really don't. But you have to have a plan. Hopefully you make the plan and you get lucky. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to wealth. Okay, I'm just running I don't even know how long I've been running my mouth. We just go into the camera now. So these cameras on a chip. I used to have a camera with a tape, and now we doing this chip thing. So whenever the chip runs out, the show is over. So where was I? Clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools. Clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, and excellent schools. Some black folks go to church. Does your pastor talk about clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, and excellent schools? Do we want that? Not just for the neighborhood, for all of our neighborhoods we colored folks live in. We so-called African Americans. Most of when you watch the TV news in this town like Chicago, come to Chicago. Look, turn on the Channel 9 News. It's WGN on the on the internet, or any of the local stations, CBS, NBC, ABC, a local affiliate, the Fox local affiliate. Go online and see the news. Every night, seems like some black person kills another black person. African American kills another black person tonight at 10. The African American kills 3 or 4 another African Americans. African Americans kill each other every night tonight at 10. Because, in Chicago, the 11 o'clock news is at 10 o'clock. They have a 9 o'clock news, of course. But tonight at 10, black people continue to kill each other in Chicago. See, that's Chicago. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves. I saw Reverend Jackson. I'm a limo driver by trade, and I saw Reverend Jackson in the airport. And recently, I was nice. I talked about the ball game. It's a long story. And because I've criticized Reverend Jackson, so I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I didn't want to buck dance and take a picture with him. I really respect him because he's done a lot of good. But we need new leadership. I mean, he can continue to do what he's doing. He's in his 70s now. You respect the man for what he did. I have criticism. A lot of folks have criticism of Reverend Jackson, but he's in the 70s now. What's the point of criticizing him now? Come on, let's move on. The point is that we have to be leadership. It's like, as I'm taping this show, Jesse Jackson Jr. is mired in a little difficulty, and he's trying to stay out of jail, and you can't blame him. So he's one of our best and brightest leaders. And he's mired in a little difficulty trying to stay out of jail. He don't want to end up in jail like Rod Blagojevich. I don't blame him. So, we're lacking a lot of leadership. A lot of African Americans don't want to take the lead because you become marginalized like me. You got to be homogenized, race-neutral Negro. Otherwise, you end up like Marc Sims, marginalized. Because I know I'm going to go back to wealth when building wealth. It's just a little tad bit. I want to talk about wealth. But for Marc Sims, I'm a Leo. I'm like the president, Bill Clinton. I'm born in August, and I want to take a leadership position, and I want to and whatever. But when you take a leadership position, depending on what you do, it's not maybe a popular position, and you become marginalized. Like I tell folks, if you're African American, you have to decide to become homogenized, or you will be marginalized. I have to be a race-neutral Negro. And I'm not saying that's a bad deal. I want my children to be race-neutral Negroes because I was born in the 60s, raised in the 70s, so race is part of what I do. I live in an African American neighborhood, segregated Chicago. That's how I see the world. Race is real. But it's not as real as for my children and my children born in the 90s, children born in the 2000s and the 2010s. It won't be as much. It'd be more class than race. So my children, I want them to be race-neutral Negroes. My teenagers, I want them to be race-neutral Negroes. But that's not going to be a bad thing as it may have been when I was coming up. Okay? Because we need people to be bold and step out there and risk their job and risk their livelihood for the betterment of the entire community. Most of our politicians and preachers, they just taking breaks. They walk on eggshells because you make it 75, 85, 95, 105, 125, and you know the mother people want your job, and you can't make a wrong move. You say the wrong thing. It's like Barack Obama when he said Henry Louis Gates. When Professor Gates got arrested by the police, he said the police were acting stupidly. And, then Barack Obama stepped out a little bit from being a race-neutral president, and he got hammered. He got criticized. So most African Americans, I feel them. Whether they police, fire, streets are saying, school teacher, they computer analysts, they on the job, they work in downtown Chicago, out in these office parks and suburbs. We walk on eggshells when we know the hammer come down if we get to be too black, whatever that is. President Barack Obama, you know, we're going to talk about him later in the show if I get a chance. You know, he's been reelected. I'm so happy. And when he talked about Trayvon Martin, he said, man, the late, great Trayvon Martin, tragically killed, that could have been my son. He looks like me. He could have been my son if I had a son. Folks had a fit because he stepped out of being race neutral or perceived to be beyond being race neutral. They want Barack Obama, they want most African Americans to be race neutral. Last point, I'm going to take a break. I had a wonderful gentleman who's like a motivational speaker, corporate motivational speaker for corporate people. And he said, oh, Mark, you got a great presentation. You should do this corporate stuff. And I'm, you know, and I emailed him and wait for a response and whatnot. He gave me some instructions, which I haven't followed yet. And nice gentleman. And so the whole point is that he said, oh, Mark, I help you do corporate events or local events to do speaking, and you can stop being a limo driver, which I would love to stop being a limo driver. But I told him basically my problem is I had this old problem I have to break. To be successful, to make 6, 7 figures, like I have the potential, and some of you do too. But for me, see, you got your own cross to bear. This is my cross, and it's in my head. It don't really, my little problems, my belief system, it's not tangible. It per se, it's all here. I can't put my hand on, you know, race neutral Negro. That's not a tangible thing. These are thoughts. But I was telling him that I could go to the next level, maybe be a corporate speaker or something, or do a real TV show beyond public access television here in Chicago. But the way it works, and I don't know, can I be the same Mark Sims, the race man from the 1970s when I was a kid, coming from a segregated Chicago, having that point of view? Can I make 6 and 7 figures and add value to people, entertain and enlighten folks and add value, and have a successful television show or speaking career? Or do I have to relinquish my blackness, whatever that is? Well, Mark, you don't look black, so you might as well relinquish it. You would ever think blackness you got. See, that's the problem, because, you know, sometimes to get where you want to do, to do things you want to do, to do the things you want to do, you have to do things you don't want to do. And you may have to be somebody you don't want to be. Some of us have raised our skirt to get where we want to be. Some people have done a lot of, you know, wild things that, you know, got on their knees and begged and did some things to get where they need to go. I mean, we've done some things that made us uncomfortable because we say, man, we have to do these uncomfortable things to get where we need to go. So I was telling him, I said, to be where I really need to be, to add value, really help people make some money, I have to relinquish some of the old Mark Sims. I got to put this race stuff aside and be a race-neutral Negro. I got kids in college. I think college is very, I mean, I got one son in college, my daughter be right behind her. Pretty soon I have two grown children in college. And it's after, you know, 50-some years, it's time to be a race-neutral Negro. Y'all gonna forgive me when I sell out? I really care about what you say, what you think about me. Because, you know, like I said, I supported Rahm Emanuel. I thought Rahm Emanuel was the best candidate of running for Chicago mayor, right? They took away my black card. They took away my black card because I think Rahm Emanuel is good for Chicago. He may not be good for Negroes, and that's the whole thing we got to think about, but he's good for Chicago. Just like Barack Obama is good for America, but people say, is he good for black people? We vote for him because we know that he's our only hope right now. Okay, I can get it. I got to go back to creating wealth and Barack Obama, and maybe I can end the TV show. I don't even know how long I talk, and because I don't know how this thing works. Oh, I talked for like 28 minutes. Damn, I see the little thing now. Okay, let me take a break after 28 minutes.